In this video, you're going to see that sometimes you're going to be adding areas together and sometimes you're going to be subtracting depending on what we're looking for. For this very first question, read it over if you haven't read it over yet. In this question here, they're asked to figure out the area of the countertop. So the countertop is starting off as this gray area here, and they're punching out a hole to put the sink in. So how much material is left, or how much space is left on the countertop in this kitchen so that people can actually prepare food and unload their groceries? Some of the dimensions are given in inches, which I'm going to have to actually take care of because they're asking for me to figure out the area to the nearest square foot. As with most of my videos, pause the video and give this a try yourself. And I'd like you to go for that. And if you need the help, or once you've actually figured out something or got started on the question, got stuck, then unpause the video and see how I finished off the question. So my plan is to take rectangle number 1 and add it to rectangle number 2, and then subtract away the rectangle that has the sink. So I will show you the rest of my answer in a sec. So unpause the video when you're ready. All right, well, yeah, I guess I pretty much have the entire thing written out here except for the final answer. So to review it quickly, I followed my plan. The area of this first rectangle is length times width. So 8 feet times 2 feet, or base times height, gives me 16 square feet for the first rectangle. They did tell me it was 2 feet vertically this way, so I know that it's also 2 feet here. And the directions say, or the instructions or blueprint shows that's 5 feet from here to here. So I needed that information, that that's 2, to figure out that this part was worth 3. So the area of rectangle 2 is base times height, or 2 times 3, or 6 square feet. To figure out the sink was a little bit more complicated because it's measured in 21 inches and 18 inches. Well, what I did is I turned those inches into feet. If it was 24 inches, how many feet is 24 inches? To find out how many feet 24 inches is, it would be 24 divided by 12, or 2. So if it's 21 inches, how many feet is that worth? How many feet is 21 inches? It's 21 divided by 12. That might have been a bit tricky. Maybe this 18 inches is a little bit easier to digest. 18 inches is how many feet? Well, a ruler, typical ruler, is 12 inches long. So 12 inches plus another 6 inches would be 18 inches. So 18 inches is 1.5 feet. Or another way to write that is 18 inches is 18 divided by 12 feet. So I had to do a little conversion there to figure out how many feet each of these were worth. So following the formula of base times height for that rectangle, I can find the area is 2.625 square feet inside that sink area. Then I'm just following my plan. 16 plus 6, so the rectangles, take away the sink, which is getting removed, which gives me approximately 19.375. All right, let's take a look at the next one, which involves a semicircle. So again, pause the video and give this one a try without my help first, and see if you can get it right. What is the area of this figure, which is a rectangle and semicircle combined? Well, my plan would be to find the area of the semicircle and add it to the area of the rectangle. The area of a full circle is pi r squared. So the area of a semicircle or a half circle is half pi r squared. And the area of a rectangle is base times height. So those are the formulas that I'll need. So to finish my calculation here, it would just be half of pi times the radius. Well, the radius isn't given in the question, but the radius of the semicircle goes from the center to its edge. If it's 6 for this length right here, then it must be 3 for the radius to make up that 6. So I'll know that my radius is 3. And then my base of my rectangle is 5, and the height of my rectangle is 6. So all I'll have to do is type this into a calculator. So half of pi times 9 plus 30, 5 times 6 is 30. Ends up giving me about 44.1, which would be the total area. So let's take a look at this question here, and I guess don't jump into it thinking you know what it's asking. Be sure to read the question carefully. Why don't you give this a try, this question? If you leaped before you looked, you might have actually calculated the area of the shaded part. No, they're not telling you to find the area of the shaded part. They're asking you to find the area of the circle. So our plan here is pretty simple. It's just to use pi r squared. But we're going to have to figure out what the radius is worth. They're telling us that the area of the square is worth 36. So how can that actually help us figure out what the radius is worth? Because the radius is not measured here. The radius is not given to us at all. The radius would be that measurement there. So the area of the square is 36. What do we know about the square? Well, what would the height and what would the base have to be so that the area came out to be 36? So I know that the diameter of the circle would also have to be 6, which means that the radius of the circle would have to be worth 3. So the answer would be pi times 3 times 3, pi times 9, which is choice number 1. It says find the area composed of this entire figure of the 2 rectangles in the quarter circle. We'll come up with a plan and try to solve it yourself before unpausing the video. All right, here's my plan, is to find the area of the rectangles, add them together, and then add on the area of the quarter circle. So I'm going to take A and B and add on C to it. Well, one thing I know about A and B is they're exactly congruent rectangles. They're both 5 by 3 and 5 by 3. So the area is 5 times 3, or 15 for both. That was quick and easy. And then the area of a quarter circle. Well, a full circle is worth pi r squared. A quarter circle would be 1/4 pi r squared. So 1/4 times pi times the radius. Well, if there was a full circle here, you could see that the 3 would represent the radius. So there's no calculating necessary of what the radius is. It's actually given to us in the picture. So the plan would be 15 plus 15 plus 1/4 pi times 3 squared. Pi, well, 3 squared is 9. So it's just a matter of just dialing it up on my calculator. So 30 plus 1/4 pi times 9 gets me about 37.1, which is one of the answers right here. 37. Yeah, and I guess that's it for our tutorial. The assignment today is broken up into, I think, well, we'll see how many questions are here. So we've got, for the homework, we've got finding the area of the shaded region. We've got one that's similar to the one that I did. We've got this question here involving a square and a semicircle, finding the area of the shaded region. And I think there's 2 more examples here. Okay, one is figuring out the area of the shaded region of this design One more question, it's a little bit more of a challenge for you. See if you can handle that to try to figure out the area of the walking path.